So cyber threat in terms of a large organization this week was compromised within the last few days, Uber, and that's a big deal. So that means a lot of us now, we have to be very careful with our Uber transactions. If you have a debit card tied to your Uber, it's a good idea right now to probably unlink it for now. If it's a credit card, you can probably get away with it because they'll refund you your money, right? So they'll be very mindful of it because their system was compromised. The details and the level of the compromise has not been um, seen in full picture yet, but it's a big risk right now globally. So because of that, it's important for us to be very proactive. So the backstory to this is most environment today, I'll tell you one thing, you would have your chief technology officer, your chief information security officer that focus on cybersecurity threat. You would have chief risk officers in some cases. So one thing they always all do consistently is they want you to provide them metrics or statistics of how they are doing in different key domain areas. So I'm going to talk about 4 key domain areas today that are typical for C-level executives in technology to go and present to their board. So anytime they go to meet their board, sometimes monthly, once a month, quarterly, whatever the timeline is for every organization, they need to have these metrics to present to their leadership. So for all the other cybersecurity professionals or practitioners, they have several areas they plug in, right? Some are doing GRC assessment, vulnerability management, endpoint security. Some are doing cloud computing, threat intelligence, whatever area you find yourself, incident response, it doesn't matter. At the end of the month or quarterly, your leadership needs those reports. Many times, if you are operational, you may not understand why your manager is asking you to provide them certain reports. Those reports is what they are presenting to the C-level executives to present to the board. The board use those metrics to measure the cyber health or the cyber resilience of the organization. For those of you on this call that you don't have cybersecurity background, don't sweat it, not a big deal. At the minimum, you'll leave here tonight and think about certain things and say, oh, this is what this means. Oh, this is the potential impact. Just leave here with one knowledge. You know, every week we try to do a knowledge base, a touch point, and we try to get all our folks in. Our goal is simple, just learn one thing. I can imagine if we do twice a week, within a year, with twice a month, within a year, we have, that is easily 24 new tools in your arsenal. So come, leave here with one skill today, one knowledge, have fun doing it. And the other thing is, please, if you don't mind, I'm going to send the link Sorry, everybody. I think I lost connection for a minute there. Let me get back to the presentation. Thanks for your patience. 1 second, guys. I think it was from my side. Sorry, guys. And let me get back to recording. Okay, cool. All right, thanks everybody for joining again. So let's get into the meat of it. So the presentation you're seeing tonight, everybody, it's one of the most profound presentations I've seen. It gives you the opportunity to understand some of the key metrics used in a lot of organizations globally. It allows you to see it from a different perspective. It's a lot of learning, yes, and it gives you a very good opportunity to know the typical reporting leadership typically cares about in most organizations. That simply means within your organization, leadership is constantly asking your VPs, directors, C-level executives, certain reports. So I would share those reports. The presentation you're looking at tonight, I was privileged to present to one of the leading strategy firm in the world. And this was the presentation I used for them to present to them. So I'm excited to share it because it definitely showered a lot of good accolades to those leadership. And this was some years back. A few of the materials might be, they are still mostly relevant, but we might need to add 1 or 2 new tools, but not a big deal. So the key thing is, what I've seen a lot is a lot of people are so confused. Every organization you go to today, the first question they always ask, at least that I've seen, is what metrics do we measure? What do we need to measure? People get confused. It's frustrating. What exactly do we need to measure? Remember, our program is strictly, we are not academic people. We are focused on practicality, hands-on, things that can potentially impact you from a real life point of view, real life scenario, real life experience. So that's the reality. Big organizations daily deal with this confusion. They are always confused. What do we measure? And guess what? They have the money. They can fund different solutions, processes, and people, technology, process. They have all the resources you can think about. But the challenge is, out of all these resources, every one of the technology or solution they have has the potential to pull certain reports. Even the ones that don't have the potential to pull reports, they can integrate it to other solutions to pull those reports, right? But the question is, what is relevant to pull? Believe it, is the biggest headache I've seen to C-level executives when they are presenting to board. Tonight, I'll make us walk in that shoe later in the next 15, 20 minutes. Walk in the shoe from a perspective of, I'll show some few reports, then you all will decide as part of our lab, which of these reports would you, if you were in this position, think are critical to share with the board. Now, don't forget again, the board are not like your savvy professionals that have IT core knowledge. So you need to figure a way to simplify things for them to make it much more easy to understand, robust enough to get the knowledge, and more importantly, many times, for them to buy into your initiative. Sometimes C-level executive, the initiative is they want to buy a new technology, they want to pull in new processes, they want to hire people. So let's keep it simple. Justify why they should fund your project. As simple as that. All right, so let's talk about the 4 key things. Number 1, some of you might have heard of the word identity access management. Second thing, secure software development lifecycle and application security. Third, endpoint security. Fourth, vulnerability management. I would explain each one of these components in a bit. In simple terms, identity access management is saying, how do we grant access to certain tools, right? Identity access. Second one is talking about secure software development lifecycle. It means when we build solution, how do we ensure we implement all the key important security layers as you're implementing solution? And guess what? Solutions are being implemented every day. The same thing with application security. Within Daily, people build web application, mobile application, any kind of application. What are the security around it? The third is endpoint security. And if you hear the word endpoint security, I'm putting myself in the shoe and the mind of everybody on this call, as if you are not experienced in cyber, it's hard to understand some of these concepts. So I'm going to do some fun game in a bit. The fourth one is vulnerability management. Among all these four, I think the one I struggled with when I got into cyber was endpoint security. Can we all type endpoint security real quick, everybody? Can we just type it? Endpoint security. Somebody said it was cyber attack. Sorry, thank you. We're not attacked. I think it was my internet access. Endpoint security. Can we type it real quick, everybody? Endpoint security. And use it in a word, in a verbiage. Somebody, and honestly, these are huge piece of the pie within the framework of cybersecurity. These are almost like core practice areas within organization. If you think of endpoint security, anytime you hear the word endpoint, everybody, can we all type our computers, our laptop? Can we type it together? Your computer, your laptop, your server. Can we all type that together? Computers, laptop, server. So it means if I have multiple computers within your home, let's say your house, right? You have your children's iPad, your children's wearable devices, your TVs, all of those devices. You could install what we call agents. Can we all type the word agent? Agent. Everybody, type agent, please. Agent. All right. So I've taught you two things quickly: endpoint security and agent. If you think of endpoint, I like that 007. I love that. So endpoint security will be like your laptop, your servers, your desktop, whatever device on your network. We can install what we call agent. Agent can be a software. It can be your antivirus that monitors if there are any malicious softwares or malicious logs within those endpoints. It can track it for us. Let's take it again. So think about it. You have multiple devices. If there is malicious code or malicious or threat actors within your environment, the endpoint agent can track it for you. So it's just a way to monitor your devices from different angles. And there are so many tools that are focused on doing that for you. For those of us that do operation technology work, there are so many tools that monitors those devices at any point in time. There's one popular out there, Armis. It will be monitoring your network at any point in time. But at the minimum, just know that, because I know I struggle with that, so that at least all of us have learned two things quickly: endpoint security and agents. Let's keep it simple. So if you hear the word endpoint security, don't get overwhelmed or scared about it. They're just saying multiple devices, and many times they install agents to monitor those devices. Those agents are remotely deployed. They're like softwares out there. So don't overthink it, okay? It's just a software. They're doing their magic. So you are just installing it. It will go across the network and you'll be fine, okay? All right, let's go to the next thing. Exciting one. What is identity access management? For anyone on this call, this is going to come up at some point in your professional life, even if you are doing audits, if you are doing assessment, if you're existing and you're using laptop. All of us, before you logged into your laptop or your phone, I bet you used your user ID and password, right? So you might hear the word IAM a lot. So let's go to the word of IAM. What does it mean? These are series of policies and procedure to ensure appropriate access to technology resources. Tonight, before you logged onto your laptop or your desktop, you have to log in, most of us, right? So that is really at the enterprise or organizational level, right? Let's think about it. It gets much more complex, because now look at what happened to Uber, right? And the story is that somebody compromised access of a privileged users, and they used the privileged users' account to compromise the network. So it's probably an easy way of stealing record, because all they did was found somebody that really is supposed to have the access. They used the person's ID to get into the network, and they compromised the network. Now, even if they will compromise the network, give them work to do, right? Let them work for it, not just use your own access. Easy. to get into your network, right? So that's why it's important we, as cyber practitioners, or at the minimum, all of us should be um, cyber disciples, right? Even if you're not a cybersecurity person on this call, that's okay. If you don't intend to get into it in your world, that's fine. But at the minimum, you are knowledgeable to understand the risk around, because all of us are part of the ecosystem of cybersecurity right now. The fact that you're on Zoom on your phone or on your laptop shows you are part of the ecosystem of cyber threat right now. All of us are really. So at the minimum, get out of this call in the next few minutes more intelligent to say, oh, okay, you know why this has been done. Identity access management. Let's keep it simple. We'll go to the next slide. You see what I mean? This is the chain of identity access management, as simple as that. Let's keep it simple. If you come to a new company, all of us, they will do what we call provisioning for you. The second is administering, and third, enforcing. What does provisioning mean? It's simple. You're requesting access, right? Somebody validate the access, they approve the access, they assign and communicate access is approved to you. Simple. Your manager, of course, would request access on your behalf. Then somebody would approve the access, and the chain continues, right? Administer. Many times you would have your administrators that would be involved in setting policies and procedures and standards around the tool you are using. A lot of us, let me throw this out there. How many of us are familiar with Active Directory, AD, right? Microsoft Active Directory is one of the popular ones out there. And there are so many tools out there. There's CyberHack, there are so many of them. Oracle, Identity Access Management, Fortinet, so many of them out there. The bottom line is that it allows you to administer and monitor the environment. Enforcement, authentication, authorization, monitoring of the log. This is really the chain of identity access management. Now, the key thing in this program tonight is focus on reporting. If you guys look at this right now, if you are going to your leadership, this is one of the big ones you will tell them. Let's take some of them that I think are cool and are important. Number one, number of unused account. Some years back when I used to do SAP security, some years back, we will go to an organization. I'm not going to even tell you I'm removing your access because I've run a query and I've seen you've not used this system in the last 12 months or 18 months. So I'm not even going to tell you I'm going to remove you from the system because you're not going to notice anyway. You've not logged in the last 12 months. So it's likely you will not need it, just like some of us know the joke. If you've not used the clothes for the last 6 months, it's probably time to donate the clothes, right? Because you're going to probably not use it again, right? It's the same principle here. Password policy effectiveness, I would like to monitor that too. Average number of distinct accounts by users, those are things you want to showcase, right? Numbers of new account provisioned within your system, numbers of exception. I like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a big one. Number of exception per access recertification. This is a big one too. So these are some and everybody on this call, I'm sure I have sent this slide. Honestly, keep this slide for your personal use. There are solid reports that you will not see this online really as much. So leverage it. They are very cool tools to monitor IAM, identity access management. Somebody said, how do I get these slides? Okay, that's why you all have to join our YouTube page. I'll send that link in a bit. All right, let's go to the next one because I would like us to have a working section that is going to be very brief, but we'll get to it. These are some common tools out there used for IAM. Very cool tools out there. Active Directory is a popular one. Now, one thing you will notice, everybody, if you're in this generation, all of us know everything has gone to the cloud. You will agree with me, right? So every solution out there, I can bet you would have a cloud equivalent. If you don't, you're going to probably be in trouble soon. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know any solution that is not thinking of cloud. They're already in the cloud or they're in the process of getting to the cloud because it's just a no-brainer. All right, let's jump to the next one. Secure software development lifecycle and application security. Let's talk about this real quick so we can. In simple term, application security, let's keep it simple. If you're building an application, web or mobile, what are the key ways to scan the application to prevent any security vulnerability? Let's keep it as that. Secure software development lifecycle is a big deal because it's saying if you are building solution within an environment, how do we ensure that all the security activities are also taken care of. The testing, the code review, architecture analysis, whatever is needed from a security point of view, we want to make sure it's also reviewed at any point in time. And look at this. This is a powerful diagram. If you don't have access to this, please ping our group later. I'll send it to you. Requirement is just saying we are getting requirement. Design, we are doing like a threat modeling, reviewing the security. When we are doing development, we do static analysis, peer review. When we are doing testing, we do reviewing of the test cases, dynamic analysis. Then the final deployment, when the system is going live, we want to make sure we also review the final security of the solution. Again, this is just to give you an idea of what is involved in SDLC. To give you an idea of what are the key things, this diagram is really the core of it. Now, the nice thing, you'll see the next slide, there are so many tools out there that we use to do application security scan. A popular one, if you forget everyone just remember Metasploit. Metasploit is a popular one out there. There's another one called Veracode, I believe. Veracode is a popular one out there. But let's talk about metrics in application security. One that is popular out there would be mean time to respond. Confirmed exploit. Confirmed exploit means that there was a potential threat that was confirmed, and we have that information handy. Remediation calculation window, meaning how long did it take to fix an issue we noticed. And I've never seen an application scanning tool come back without an issue. All of them would always have one or two issues they noticed. Some of the issues would be minor issues that are just not a big deal, but they would always have an issue noticed for sure. Then you want to know the testing coverage. How much area are we testing? Let's keep it simple. Today, all of us are using Facebook, WhatsApp. All we are saying is that before Facebook and WhatsApp release any solution or any functionality, they will scan everything they've done to make sure there's no vulnerability. Remember what happened to Uber this week? It's possible a deployment was done, a new feature was added, and somebody forgot to do scanning to catch a vulnerability. It's a possibility, we don't know. So that's why it's important, if there's any change, those tools must be used to scan at any point in time. These are some very good reporting out there to use. And these are some tools, application security tools out there that are popular, that people use out there. Endpoint security, like we said earlier on, endpoint is synonymous to what? Can somebody type it real quick? Anytime you hear the word endpoint, what comes to your mind? Can we type? Let me see if you guys are listening. Can we type it real quick? Thank you, Kate. You said reassign the license. Yes. All right, agents. Thank you. Yep, LDS, agent servers. Yep, I like that. Thank you. Thank you. All right, cool. Let's move on. Laptops, computers. Yes. Again, I'm just putting myself in the shoes. Some years back, if I hear the word endpoint, I get so messed up mentally because I'm wondering what's the endpoint, But anyway, so you guys don't fall for that same. All right, let's go. So within the endpoint, like I said, is an approach to protect computer network that are remotely bridged to client devices, whatever devices you are using. It could be your laptop, your workstation, tablet, mobile device, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If the endpoint security is there, agent installed, it could be malwares, anti-malware solutions around, whatever it is, as long as it's protecting you from malicious actors. All right, let's talk about some metrics within endpoint. Look at this. This is also good. Types of threat detected, because if you're using an endpoint tool, right, it's detecting threats. If there are potential malware installed, it should detect it. What about operating support ability? It will give you some report. Level of visibility the solution provides. So it will give you some information around key things within the endpoint security. So these are some basic metrics out there that we can capture with the endpoint security for sure. And look at the process here. You can see system monitoring, anti-malware, data security, IAM, acceptable use policies. So what you will notice here is that at the end of the day, it's an iteration. It's just a loop going back and forth. So think about it from the perspective of monitoring. Constantly, the agent installed is monitoring our network at all times. If there are potential vulnerability, to call it out and bring it up. So I don't know, some of you, if you are using McAfee antivirus, for example, they have a live monitoring tool that you can download to multiple devices. So I have for my mobile devices, kids' laptop, friends' laptop, whatever it is. Somebody said Trellix. Yeah, that's a good one. Trellix is a good one. Yep. Thank you, Kate. Kate's one of our mentors. Thank you, Kate. Awesome. So, whatever tool you're using for the endpoint, the key is, it's monitoring your network at all times, and it's pretty good tool out there. All right, let's talk about some popular ones out there. Bit Defender, Carbon Black, Checkpoint, RSA, Trellix, a couple of them out there. There are so many out there, really. All right, vulnerability management, everybody. This is another cool one. Okay, one thing I will quickly make you type. Remember, I'm going to point out things I want you to get out of here and at least at the minimum know. Can we all type in Nessus? Let me type it. Nessus. 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 I'm not sure that I got it right, but I think it's Nessus, maybe. Yeah. So Nessus is the most popular vulnerability management tool out there. They are pretty cool. And if you say Nessus, anyone will know that, oh, you got it. If we're talking about vulnerability management, they're like the biggest guys out there. It's the solution is built by a company called Tenable. Tenable are big out there. It's like you saying active network to, you say Microsoft, or you're saying enterprise resource to, you say SAP, right? So if you talk vulnerability management in the industry, it's called Tenable. Tenable is a big one out there. And the nice thing is, it's very easy to use the tool, not a big deal at all, okay? So think about it that it's checking and scanning for any potential vulnerability. And like someone else said, there are so many open sources out there also. There are tools out there that can help you to be scanning. But look at the cycle, which I like. Okay, remember, vulnerability management is really focused on scanning now, and also checking how much of the risk we want to accept. Now, one funny thing about this, very important, is it's not just you having a tool. Another question I want to know is, how often do we scan? Very important also. It's not enough to say I have a tool. How often do you scan? If your tool is not scanning, then of what use is the tool, right? So it's very important we know the frequency of scanning of the tool. So let's talk about the process a little bit. This is very cool. At the minimum, please, everybody on this call, make sure you get a copy of this presentation. It's a gold mine. Take advantage of it. Don't even sweat it. Take advantage of it big time. Preparation is just to get ready on your plan on how you want to be scanning. Vulnerability scan is, how do you constantly scan? What are the plans to define if there are issues? Because when you scan, you probably see issues. So we have to have a strategy to identify those issues, define them, then also build a plan to remediate or fix those issues. Then the loop will continue. You keep rescanning and rescanning and rescanning, okay? All right, look at this one. Please, everybody on this call, make sure you need to have this slide. Very important. And make sure you join our YouTube page. You'll see a lot of stuff. I'll post this there also. But these are very important metrics because now you guys will see why in a bit. A big one, mean time to detect, mean time to resolve. So if I do a scan, what's the average time to detect or to resolve the issue? What is the scanning coverage? Number of exception granted. This part is very important. You know why I said this is important? Number of exception granted. It means if I realize, because exception simply means I'll say, well, yeah, for this issue, yeah, we are okay with it. We accept it. We make exception for it. If I notice you are making exception for many things, that's a concern for me because I'm thinking, wait a minute. You're accepting every freaking thing. Then this is a problem. Either you guys fix it, you build a process around it. You can't be accepting everything and say, well, no, that's fine because of this reason. No. I want to make sure it's not abused, right? We make exception for one-off cases, right? But if I realize it's an exception made for like a blanket process, then that's a concern for leadership really immediately. All right, just something to take note of. And like I said, the tools out there, Nexus is the big one, Alien Vault, then Microsoft Analyzer, Wireshark is a big one out there. A lot of open source solutions out there also. All right, cool. Let's get to the meat of it, everybody. Please, everybody participate in this. This is going to be really cool. The case study is simple. Your CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, requested your help for him to select top 7 reports he should present to his board within the following reports. That is the reports we have in our documents. I'll let you guys quickly take a stab at it. Look at all those reports and tell me your top 7 that you would like to recommend to your leadership to present to the board. Let's have fun doing it. I think it's going to be a blast. And out of all the ones I've selected, it's quite a number of them. Just for each of the areas, select maybe 1 or 2 and just come up and say, you know what, Mr. CISO, Mr. Chief Information Security Officer, at the minimum, present this. Because remember, you're not going to present everything to the board because that's going to bore them, right? They don't have that attention span to stay that long. But at least give them a list of few that you can say, okay, guys, these are important. So discuss this as a group and say, why are you selecting this? Don't overthink it. Some are very obvious that, oh, this makes sense to select, and let's have fun doing it. I like what Kate said. She said, okay, let me tell you what Kate said. Kate is our mentor, so I have to say whatever she said. She said, vulnerability management report, endpoint security report. Yes. So maybe she's giving us a hint there that let's try and focus on vulnerability management report and endpoint security report. Those are very solid ones too. Kate, during the presentation, at some point, I would unmute you to just tell us a little bit about once everybody's done with their presentation. All right, let's quickly do a breakout section real quick. And guys, have fun doing it. Make sure you participate in it. These sections are always very good for us to kind of just share insights and don't overthink it and have fun doing it. See you in the next few minutes. All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's see. Thank you, everybody. Okay. All right, guys, let me be honest. I was not fair. It's not enough time to do this kind of assessment, so I get it. So, but I was sneaking into everybody's, classes. I know a couple of us, we talked about not having the right controls in place. Some of us talk about SDLC. IAM was a big one. A lot of us thought was important, and I agree with that. Someone talked about AWS, CloudTrail logs. That's a big one. A group talked about next-gen firewall. That's a big one also. So if you don't mind, let's have a few people. Sorry, everybody, I can't take everybody, so I want to make sure we don't stay too long. Can we raise our hands? Let's have a few people just share some of their top 6. Maybe we can take 3 random groups, just straight to the point, your top 6 that you thought was important. Let's start with Charles. Then Kate will wrap it up for us. All right, let's go, Charles.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So I'll go with stakeholder onboarding, and I would like to match that with IAM, explaining to them how how we grant access and what kind of access they would have and how we manage access. And then I'll take end-to-end security operations, and I'll match that with endpoint security, and also explain to them the tools we use, and yeah, I'll document all of that. And then I'll go to compliance.
Okay.
And then I'll go to disaster recovery and business continuity.
Okay.
And I'll also explain how we do documentation, and also finally I'll go to how we manage employees. That'll be HR management. And I might actually throw in, I think that falls into patch management, falls into the endpoint, right?
Yeah, you could have.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me? You can bake the process of patch management within your endpoint for sure. Yeah. Can you hear me now? Charles? All right, got it. All right, can someone else raise their hands? Who else is anyone in the other groups? Let's take one more before Kate wrap. Okay, yes. I have my sister here. Okay. Sis, go ahead. Visit.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So in our group, we kind of, honed down on 2 different, what's it called here? Process, so to speak. So we talked about vulnerability testing. Sorry, I said testing. Yeah, hold on a sec. I'm trying. I'm so sorry. I'm using my phone. Yeah, okay. So vulnerability management. So we talked about, I'm sorry, bros, mean time to detect and mean time to resolve. That's a big time for us. We want to know that we have tools in place, the system in place is to kind of dictate, and not just dictate, to kind of notify the key stakeholders, the application owners, because this kind of, it can be a critical point of failure. We don't want to lose revenue, or we don't want to be that exposed. So we want to make sure that we have a system in place that's, tell us when the time to dictate and to notify, and also to resolve that particular threat. And for endpoint security, we want to know the type of reports we want the CSO to pull will be the types of threats that the organization is faced with, the security controls, and if we have some hold on a sec. I'm sorry, I'm trying to skip through too many pages here. I'm using my phone, I'm so sorry. So file detections, yeah, file detections. If we have, things that can actually dictate, for the agents, like our antivirus and all that, and also want to see the level of visibility the solution provides. So we want to know how the kind of, this will help us to know with our risk assessment in order to see if this is an high risk and the kind of impact it's going to have on the organization to kind of, gauge it. So we want to see the level of visibility the solution provides. That will be all. Thank you.
Thank you. I like the part that we are thinking of how widespread our agents are installed and the coverage of the agent. I think that's a big deal for all of us, really, especially with endpoint. Now, one thing I'll tell you, you can't go wrong with identity access management, vulnerability management, endpoint. Those are like, if you ask me that a cheat sheet is IAM, because think about it, all we are saying is, even if somebody's hacking my system, let them work small. But if you give them a broken access management, it means you've not even given them work to do. You give them the key, they just open it without work. Let them suffer small, really, right? I mean, threats are always there, but don't make it too easy by giving people access without controlling your access management. So every one of those points are very important. Thank you, everybody. That was awesome. Let's wrap it up with Kate, so I don't take too much of our time. Kate, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Kimfewa, for giving me the opportunity to speak. And on this exercise, I know everything has been covered, also mentioned by our group, endpoint security, identity access management, and so forth. But I also want to chip in. Anti-malware, as well as data. Data security. How secure are your data? And then what's your recovery plan? So I want my stakeholders to know that, if we were to be attacked, we have XYZ data, and of course, the time that we can be back on, as well as system monitoring. So what about patches? What patches are we that are being deployed, and then to ensure that everyone is also updated in your software. So I think that's the areas I want to touch that hasn't been touched on yet. So
thank you so much, Kate. I know Kate is always constantly dealing with this also in real time. So I wanted to get that insight. Thank you so much.
Yes.
One thing that we should always remember, we can't get away from data security. It's a big deal. Folks that know me in our program, for those of us on this call, we have a GRC program with Ron typically. And in that program, we have a section for data security and data privacy. It's one of the biggest things right now in the world. Data is the new oil. That's the slogan, right? Is the new gold. So now every organization is thinking constantly on how to protect their data governance, data privacy. So it's a big, big deal. So at any point, leadership want to get feedback and brief on data. But that's it for tonight, guys and ladies. So let's enjoy the rest of the week. Best week ever. Thanks for hanging out with us. More to come. Most of our Tuesdays, we try to do this. Thanks, sis.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
I don't see call me and Yemi. I don't see Yemi. They are fighting over me.
Oh, boy. You are so special, Kate, as always. Thank you, everybody. Catch up soon.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.